In this video, I want to briefly go over some of the core digital accessibility tools we use here at Trident Academy, focusing especially on the ones we use with our one-to-one student Chromebooks. Why we choose Chromebooks at Trident Academy to be our one-to-one student digital devices across the school and all grade levels. Um, and especially for our type of students here at Trident Academy with different language processing issues like dyslexia and dysgraphia, the Chromebooks are really, bar none, the best digital device that we could pick for our students. Chromebooks, luckily, come preloaded with a huge range of accessibility tools built right into the operating system. And these features can help address these challenges that students here have. And even when we go beyond the realm of the language processing issues and look at things like ADHD and attention issues, the Chromebook also has some great built-in accessibility tools there. So this is going to be a very brief overview, but I do want to showcase a few of the built-in tools in the Chrome operating system used by Chromebooks. So let's take a look. As we see here, right on the main setting screen, looking at things like your Wi-Fi, what you're connected to, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your volume, all that kind of stuff. You'll see right there is access to available accessibility tools built into the Chromebook. So if we click here, we can see a lot of these options. And I want to focus first on kind of the two biggest ones in my mind, the ones that are I think the most useful for our students at Trident Academy, and that would be the select to speak option and the dictation option. So let's take a look at that. Start with dictation, a pretty simple thing, right, where everyone's used to speaking into their phone and having it appear as text. But I will say that out of all the devices I've tried that do the text-to-speech, Chromebooks really do sort of knock it out of the park. So here I am in a Google document, right? If I'm a student that is struggling with all of the excellent thoughts that I have in my head, but struggling with putting them on paper, sometimes the text-to-speech option is a great way to start, just to get those ideas out of my head and onto the digital page so that I can then go back and work on those and craft them into workable sentences. And I don't just stop and get frustrated with not being able to get my thoughts onto the page. So right at the bottom of the screen in the area called the shelf, you'll see that there is an icon here, looks like a little microphone for doing the dictation. And this works anywhere you are on the Chromebook, whether it is in a document, like a word processing document like we are here, or if it's putting a web address in or making setting changes, anywhere where you can insert text, the text-to-speech the speech-to-text option is available for you. So if I click this, I can start talking and the computer will start typing it for me. I am the very model of a modern major general. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. Right? Did a pretty good job. Where if I did this same sentence on my phone, I would probably have to go back and make 3 or 4 different changes to words that it misheard. The Chromebook does a great job with this. And again, this dictation option works anywhere. Google.com. Right? Even in the address bar, works perfectly fine. Now let's take a look at the select to speech option. Here, the students can select any text, whether it's on a website, in a word processing or slideshow presentation, whether it is in a PDF, wherever the text appears, students can use the built-in select to speak option to hear the text read aloud to them. the voice that's used, as you'll hear in just a second, is actually pretty natural sounding. No robotic sounding voices here. And the students also get the ability to sort of choose the kind of voice that they want, whether it is a masculine voice or a feminine voice, whether it is a voice with an accent that matches maybe what they hear at home, if it is making the speech faster or slower, or changing the pitch up or down. The goal here is to make the voice that's going to be used to read text aloud as comfortable and as natural for the student to listen to as possible. Right? You can go into the accessibility settings here and mess around, play around a little bit until you find the voice that works best for you. Right? And there's all sorts of different options, right? If you come from different backgrounds, you might want to hear a voice that sounds similar to ones that you're hearing at home. So you have a lot of choices here. And then you can play and hear the text. And like I said, it's pretty amazing how realistic these computer voices have gotten.
Hi there, I'm your text-to-speech voice.
And so let's take a look at this in action. If I'm on a website, for example, and I want the text read aloud to me, I can do it in two ways. The first way is down at the bottom, right next to where we had the dictation tool. There's a little icon here, looks like a little speaker, and this is the Select to Speak tool. If I click on this, I go up to any text that I want, and I hold down my mouse button, and I drag my cursor, and you'll see there's a little purple box that appears. Any text that is in that purple box, when I let go of the mouse button, it will begin to be read out loud to me in the voice that I chose. So here I'm going to let it go, and let's take a listen.
High in dense bamboo forests in the misty, rainy mountains of southwestern China lives one of the world's rarest mammals, the giant panda, also called the panda.
Right, and so you'll notice that the text is being read aloud, and underneath it I have controls. So all of my controls are right there. So that's the one way to do it, right, is go to the bottom, select the Select to Speech option, and draw the box. The other way is just highlight whatever text you want to have read out loud, and then press the search button, which is a keyboard button that you should see. I put it up on the video on the screen. Hold down that search button and press the letter S, S for speak, and it will do the same thing that using the Select to Speak button does. The words will be read out loud for you. You will notice that as the text is being read aloud, the actual word being spoken is highlighted, so the student can follow along reading as they listen to the text being read aloud, right? Helping to get more proficient with the actual reading component of this, right? So eventually the students won't need to have the words read out loud for them. Right, they'll be doing it on their own, but the read aloud option, the Select to Speak option, is there whenever the student needs it. It's really a fantastic tool, and because it is built right into the operating system, it works everywhere. Chromebooks have another great tool built right in called reading mode. If I'm looking at a website or reading a website, and I want to sort of eliminate all the extraneous information, all of the advertisements, pictures, images, interesting choices in graphic design of my page, and I just want the text by itself, free of these sort of distractions that are often an impediment to our students actually being able to read and comprehend in a digital medium. This reading mode is a real lifesaver, and let me show you what this looks like. Whether you're taking an entire page or just highlighting the specific text that you want to use, sorry about that. I can highlight some text here if I want to just have it. And then with my mouse, I can right-click to get my options, my menu options to appear, and you will notice that there is open in reading mode. When I click on this, you'll notice a side panel opens, and the text that I've highlighted, or the entire page if I didn't highlight any specific text, will be put over to the side, and all of the images and advertisements and all of that sort of funky design components are removed so that just the text is left. You'll notice the original page is still on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side is this reading mode tab. And I can change the size of this so that the reading mode tab is first and foremost, right? It's right out in the open. Or if I want, I can make it so that, it's half and half, or that it's barely visible over on the side. Again, it's all about what works best for the student who is using this reading mode. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. The reason the original website is kept open is that as a student reads through and goes through the reading on the reading mode tab, anywhere I highlight in the reading mode text, the original website jumps to that part as well, so that in case there are things like images that go with the text that really need to be looked at, it's easy for the student to navigate there just by clicking where they want to go, and the website will move them along to the right place. Now, here in reading mode, I'll make it a little bit bigger and easier to see, I can choose to change the font. Right? Again, all about finding something that is the easiest for the student to read. I can change that font size, make it larger or smaller. If I want to change my background color, right? If I find it easier to read with a black background and white text, or I want to use some combination of colors to make it easier for me to read, right? That is up to the individual student. There's a way to change the distance between lines of text, right? I can make it smaller or wider apart. Again, just depending on the individual need of each student. I can also change the width of the text within a line, right? Breaking apart words so that there's more space between the words. For a lot of students with dyslexia, this is a key component of helping them differentiate one word from another word and really getting them to think more about how the reading happens. So this is a very handy thing. And if you wind up using reading mode a lot, you can even use the little pin icon to pin it to the top of your browser page, so that instead of having to click on the mouse and right-click on it and open reading mode, that tab is always there at the top. So I can click it on any website I want, and it will generate that website into a reading mode tab for me. The larger the site, the longer it takes to sort of put everything in place, but you'll notice it's just a few seconds, and every bit of text on this page, on this website, is now presented to me in a much easier format in reading mode. For students that have either attention issues, whether it be ADHD, or just find it difficult to orient themselves in a digital environment. Where's my cursor? Where am I typing? Where are these words appearing? The Chromebook also has some accessibility tools built in for that. So let's take a look at those. One of them, and this is one of my personal favorites, I actually use this on my personal account all the time, is the highlight mouse cursor option. When I turn this on, anytime I move my mouse, a circle here, a red circle, appears around where my cursor currently is located, so that on a very busy page, a student can easily locate where their cursor is and help orient themselves on the page and get back to working on the document and not be too distracted by everything else going on around them. And you'll notice that circle vanishes once I stop moving the mouse. It doesn't stay there permanently, but it is there just to sort of remind me that, hey, this is where the mouse is, right? It's right there, easy to locate. Turn that off for a moment. Another one is the highlight text, so that anywhere where I would be typing, any sort of part of the page where I would have to input text, as soon as I start typing, you'll see a little blue circle that appears. And just to highlight on the page for the student, where is this text being input? When I'm typing on the keyboard, where's it going? Right? With this accessibility tool, you can see immediately with that little blue circle, where is it that my text is being input? So, and along that same vein, there's also the ability to turn on the highlight object. So if I click on something like a link or a picture that's going to open another page, a little highlight box appears around it just to let the student know, hey, that's what you just clicked on. All right, so if I click on animal, you'll see that a little orange box appears around it briefly, just to, again, help orient me as to where exactly on the screen I'm interacting with, right? What am I clicking on right now? Right, and that is another handy accessibility tool built right into these Chromebooks. And turn off and on at will. Now, there are other options as well. If your student has visual issues, there are things with color correction and changing settings like that to help the student be able to visualize it more. I'm going to skip over those right now. But you can see that the Chromebook has a lot of built-in accessibility tools that are very easy to find and navigate and turn on and change settings for, so that you can really make the computer differentiated for each student, right? And have them use the tools that will benefit them the most in and out of class. So this next accessibility tool is not one built in natively to Chromebooks and the Chrome operating system, but it is a add-on extension that sort of integrates fully with the Chromebook and the Chrome web browser, and will show up, as you can see here, in the top right-hand corner of your browser window. This accessibility tool called Read and Write by a company called Texthelp. If you click on this icon, you will see the Read and Write toolbar appear, and there are tons of tools available here, and sort of being aware of how long it would take to go through all of these tools in detail, I just kind of want to go through a quick presentation that talks about these various tools. And if you're really interested in seeing it in practice, I'm happy to send you further information, but there's a lot to go over here. So the Read and Write toolbar is, like I said, an extension, and the nice thing about that is that because it's not natively built into the Chromebook itself, if you're on a Windows or a Mac computer at home and you log in to your Trident Academy account in your web browser, in your Chrome web browser at home, this extension, the Read and Write toolbar, will appear on your computer at home, on your personal computer. So this toolbar is very, very flexible as far as it travels with your account. It doesn't just live inside one computer's operating system, so it's pretty handy. So the Read-Write toolbar, like I said, found in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on it, the toolbar appears. And just very briefly, some of the tools that are there that are very useful for both reading and for writing. Right? Such as if you're writing word prediction. So if you're in a text and you're starting to type, just sort of like you can see in this example here on the page, right? As you start to type, the program makes predictions based on common misspellings of words, sort of its AI generated the algorithm to figure out what the most common words would be next based on the words that you've already typed. And it just kind of gives you a little bit of a nudge into letting you know what word should be written next, right? So help you with a little word prediction as you write. And there are, of course, different features that you can turn on, different options that you can set for this, text size and things like that. So very much a useful tool for those of us who sometimes just don't know where to go next in our writing. There is a built-in text-to-speech in the toolbar. It does a pretty good job, but I'll tell you, I like the Chromebooks built-in version much better. However, if you're at home using this on a Mac or a Windows machine and you don't like their options for text-to-speech, the Read and Write toolbar does a good job. The whole sentence that's being read is highlighted in one color, and then as the individual word in the sentence is being read aloud, it is highlighted in a different color to make it easier to follow along as you're reading with the text being spoken aloud. And of course, there are lots of different options, different voices you can choose to really make it your own, slow down or speed up. There are those options, and they can just help to differentiate this tool. There is also a speech-to-text, and again, I think the built-in Chromebook does it better, but this speech-to-text is no slouch on the Read and Write toolbar, so that's available as well. There are some commands, if you want to learn them, that go along with it. If you need a document translated from one language to another, or just a word translated from one language to another, there is a built-in translation tool. And the nice thing, of course, about this toolbar is that it doesn't open up a new tab, it doesn't take you to a new page. All of the information is right there on the page you're looking at in the tab you're in, so that you don't have to keep switching between different parts of your page and kind of getting lost in the shuffle. Right? One of the cool things, I think, is the ability to make a vocabulary list. Using the highlighting tools, if you highlight words in a document or on a web page, if you highlight these individual words using the highlighter tools, you can then collect them together in a vocabulary list that is then printed like this in a new Google Docs page that opens up for you. It gathers the word you've highlighted, the sort of simple standard dictionary meaning of that word, and then, if it exists in the program, it also gives you a little image, a symbol that goes along with it to help the student really understand what this word means. And then finally, it gives you a section for each word for notes. And this could be for writing your own sample sentence, or explaining more about where the word comes from, or whatever it is that the assignment entails. There's automatically generated a notes section for the vocabulary list that you've gathered. For some of the reading tools here that are available in the Read-Write toolbar, there's an option to simplify the page. So if you have a huge wall of text that you're trying to read, and you just want the main facts, the bare bones information, because you're getting very lost with all the shuffle and clutter of all the words on the page, you can simplify the page, and the Read and Write toolbar will remove extraneous bits of information until it gets down to the core and the most important sort of points on the page. If you simplify it all the way, it pretty much just gives you like the opening sentence or paragraph sort of explaining what the whole reading is going to be about. But you can sort of simplify it more or less so that you could, for example, simplify it all the way, so you're just reading like the main sort of the main point of the paragraph or the page that you're reading, and then make it less and less simplified until eventually you have the entire page without anything taken away there for you to read. So you can start from the simplest reading and make it all the way to the most complicated reading, just using the Simplify Page tool. There is a screen masking option. So for those of you that have sort of attention issues, right, and you really need a way to be able to focus on where on the screen you are reading, there is this screen masking tool, and again, options for making it thinner or thicker or brighter or darker, just to really focus you on the part of the page that you're supposed to be paying attention to. Like I said, there is a built-in text-to-speech option for listening to large sections of text, but you can also turn on a feature called hover speech that if you leave your cursor over a word for a second or so, it'll just pronounce that word for you. Right? There are dictionaries, both word dictionaries and picture dictionaries. So if you click on a word and you want to see sort of an image representation of what that word means, then click the picture dictionary, like here for the word traffic, and it gives us a nice picture here of illustrating like what traffic is. Right, but if you click the regular dictionary, it gives you like full dictionary definitions, and you'll notice there's a little play button next to the word that you looked up and the definitions. Click those, and the computer's voice will read the word or definition for you. There's also something called a screenshot reader. If you come across a picture that has text in the picture, but you can't actually like highlight and select the text because it's an image, you can use Screenshot Reader, and it will, once you select the image, it will try to analyze using optical character recognition and pull the words out of the picture and then read those words aloud for you. Something that most text-to-speech, including the ones that are built into the Chromebook, can't do this. But the Read and Write toolbar can read words off of images. And then remember how we gathered the vocabulary words into a separate Google Doc vocabulary list using the vocabulary tool and the highlighter buttons? Well, the same thing goes for these study tools. You can use the highlighters, instead of highlighting just like one word here or there, highlight whole sections of text, right? Like you're taking notes, like you would be highlighting in a textbook. Then you can use the gather button, which are these four arrows going around in a circle, and it will gather all of the text that you've highlighted into a new Google document, and it will also give you a link to the original page where you got all of these notes from. This is a fantastic tool for students learning to do research and taking information that they gather online and putting it into their own document and writing passages, paragraphs, or papers from that work. This is a fantastic tool. And then there is the practice reading aloud tool. If you find a page online and you want to practice reading aloud, the program will let you read the selected text and listen to yourself reading it back so you can sort of make sure that it's how you want it to sound. And then when you're ready, you can click the send to your teacher button, looks like a little paper airplane, and a recording of you reading the text plus a copy of the text itself will get emailed to your teacher so they can listen to you read a passage and give you some helpful feedback on that. It's a really great little practice there. And then, of course, for every one of these tools, there are tons of options that you can really make the tools your own and use them in a way that best suits you. And so that is Read and Write by Texthelp. I've made a little sample lesson for the teachers here that they can do with their students that'll teach the students how to use the Read and Write toolbar while doing some research on their favorite animals. And the teachers can change this if they want to do like history instead of animals or whatever. It's very easy to change it up however you want. But this is just a great little lesson put together so that teachers and students can sort of learn how to use Read and Write toolbar together in a lesson so that then the students are equipped to be able to use these tools on their own whenever the lesson calls for it. So the Read and Write toolbar, a absolutely fantastic tool. right, and the last add-on, like extension accessibility tool that I want to briefly talk about is called HelperBird. And in particular, one aspect of HelperBird that we use that is called Immersive Reader. HelperBird has all kinds of different tools, some of which are duplicated by the Read and Write or the built-in Chromebook tools. But the Immersive Reader function in HelperBird is pretty amazing. So you can access HelperBird anywhere in two different ways. If you right-click on the screen, you'll see here on our Trident Academy accounts that there is a HelperBird menu extension, right? And you'll see in the menu option, there's the View in Immersive Reader. There is also an extension, just like the Read and Write extension. I don't have it pinned here, but I will right now. Right, here's the HelperBird extension, and if I click on that, it opens up an entire HelperBird sidebar here. I'm going to close the sidebar because I just want to show you how the in-menu option works, because it's so well integrated with our Chrome browser in our Chromebooks. So if I take a bit of text to highlight, and I right-click or two-finger click, or however you get to the menu option, the touch screen, right, hold your finger down for a second, you will see that there is the HelperBird extension, and one of the options that appears for HelperBird is View in Immersive Reader. And Immersive Reader is sort of like that reading mode that I showed you built into the Chromebook and the Chrome browser, except it's like reading mode on steroids. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. It can just do a whole lot for students that need a little bit of extra help with their reading and comprehension. So I'm going to click View in Immersive Reader. And you'll see that it's going to take the text that I highlighted, and now on this new page, it is going to eliminate everything else and just have the text that I've selected. And a lot like tools we've already seen, right? You can either use the Chrome built-in select-to-speak or use Immersive Reader's text-to-speech option.
Zeus was the king of the gods and the most powerful. He was the god.
There are text preferences, so we can do things like change the font size, increase the spacing so that there's more space between each line of text, do some basic changing of the font type. If I need my background colors different just for sake of reading and ease of reading, I can do that and find the one that is most comfortable for me. That's all pretty similar to what we've seen before, but one of the things that I really love about this is the grammar options. So when I click on here, if I want to showcase nouns, verbs, adjectives, or adverbs, I can have those types of words turned into different colors. Right, so like here, all my nouns are purple, and I can change what color is being used for what function. Right, maybe I'd rather have the blue, whatever. Right. Verbs, separate color. Adjectives, a separate color. Adverbs. These are all really, really helpful for students who are trying to learn sort of the syntax and grammatical functions of words. You can do it by just color, or if you turn on show labels, you'll even see that little abbreviations for N for noun, V for verb, ADJ for adjective appear over the words. And the other thing that I love is there's the ability to turn on a syllabication, right? To break down the words into the separate syllables by putting a little sort of dot between the different syllables. And when I turn that on, I'm going to make it a little bit easier to see by turning off the parts of speech. I can see different ability. Right? So it takes these longer words that sometimes our students stumble over, and it breaks them down syllable by syllable, similar to what they learn to do in their OG classes. Right? And this is so helpful for students when they are really trying to read passages that are a little taxing for them. We have also have some reading preferences. There's that sort of a very similar line focus tool. I can focus in on a couple lines at a time or just one line at a time, right, to keep my attention where it needs to be. There is a picture dictionary as well. So if I click on a word, right, There's that picture dictionary that pops up just like I saw with the read-write toolbar. If I need it translated into another language, I can, right? And so Immersive Reader is just a fantastic little tool that we have built in with HelperBird that can just add a little bit more, another extra level of assistance, right, for students who need just that little bit of extra to really get them through their reading. Just can't say enough good things about Immersive Reader here in HelperBird.